Greetings, I am the wrestling fan. I may not be the best wrestling fan, but I am the finest. And welcome to another rendition of The Wrestling Fan's Pay-Per-View Reactions, where in this episode, I take a look at Ring of Honor's Best in the World 2016. The opening match for Best in the World was Kyle O'Reilly, who I've heard a lot about the last year, and I was excited to finally see him wrestle. I don't think I've ever seen him wrestle, versus a wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kamatachi. I keep wanting to say Tamagotchi. I really do, and I almost want to call him that just to be funny, but he's very talented, so I don't want to cut him down. So Kamatachi, I believe his name. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. But this was the opening match of the night, and it was a fantastic way to open this pay-per-view. It got the crowd going, it got me going. I knew it'd be a good night from the moment I watched it. And Kyle O'Reilly is very, very impressive, and Kamatachi is as well. He's very, very good. And I liked Kamatachi playing the heel. They told a good story where he went after Kyle O'Reilly's legs and his knee, and it really pumped the crowd up, and it was exciting from beginning to end, and I loved every second of it, and I couldn't wait to get to the rest of the pay-per-view, which is exactly what an opening match is supposed to be. An opening match on a wrestling show is just as important, or honestly sometimes more important, than the main event, because if that first match is a dud, it's going to be hard to get that crowd back, but they definitely got him into it. So next match. Okay, match 2 was ACH versus Silas Young. I've seen ACH a few times. I've seen Silas Young a couple times. And I'll go ahead and say, when it came to the feuds and everything, I don't watch Ring of Honor TV every week. I wish I did. I don't have cable anymore. I should just subscribe to the Ring of Honor online. You can, watch all the episodes. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about paying the $8 a month so I can keep up with the Ring of Honor television show. And I may start. I just watched their big pay-per-view, and this would be a good place for me to start doing that. So I'm definitely thinking about it. But I didn't have an emotional pull towards these wrestlers or the matches, but usually Ring of Honor matches are very good. And ACH Silas Young, was very good. I like Silas Young, his character, the last real man, and how he's a manly man. He's like what William Regal was in WWF in '98. He's a man, such a man, except a much better version of that, and he doesn't wear a construction hat on his head. And he's not a British man trying to act like a American construction worker. That's still so fucking weird to me. But ACH is very talented. He's very over with the crowd. And him and Silas put on, it was almost like the young student versus the master, or a son versus a father type story. And I dug it a lot. They told a good story with the match. And it was good from beginning to end. And ACH came out on top. And very, very good. I don't think I said it before, but Kyle O'Reilly won the first match, and another good match for this pay-per-view. So next. Okay, one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, Mark Briscoe, who's champions along, of course, with his brother Jay Briscoe, versus Roderick Strong. And I had read that right before this pay-per-view, Roderick Strong announced he was leaving Ring of Honor indefinitely. I'm not exactly sure why. He's going to seek opportunities elsewhere. I don't know if he's taking a break from wrestling or he just wants to focus on other organizations. I don't know. But Roderick Strong has been kind of under the radar for the past 10 years. He's been one of the best on the independents. I've seen him in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and Ring of Honor, and he's won world championships in both. He's won all 3 championships in Ring of Honor. He's a tremendous talent. I've always enjoyed his work, so I was excited to see what would be his final pay-per-view appearance, at least for right now, in Ring of Honor. And him and Mark Briscoe did not disappoint. Mark Briscoe is nuts, and like at the beginning of the match, he had the big bushy hair, and Roderick went to pull it, and it was a wig. Like, Mark actually shaved his head, and I don't think he's had a shaved head for a very long time, if at all. So it was a funny way to start the match. Mark, and even Jay, the Briscoe brothers, they have a good way of incorporating comedy into their matches. And there was even a part where Mark, like, almost ran into the barricade in the crowd, and a guy was wearing a Bullet Club shirt, and he just goes, "Too sweet," and then turn around. It's just funny stuff. But Roderick is all business, and I was kind of surprised that Mark actually beat Roderick in this, but in wrestling, it's the proper way to do business. You know, when you're going out, you should lose, or if you retire, you should lose. And Roderick lost because Mark's going to stay in Ring of Honor and try to make money for the company. So it made sense, but they shook hands after the match, and Roderick didn't stick around and wave to the crowd, you know, but they were chanting, "Thank you, Roderick," and it was a good match. I think he's going to have one more match for their television taping, which is tonight, I believe, but then he'll be gone for good. So Roderick Strong, you know, you were one of my favorite performers in Ring of Honor. I may not have followed Ring of Honor religiously, or like I would, or I would like to, but I've seen a shit ton of your matches, and I can't remember a bad match. So thank you, Roderick Strong, and hopefully you stay in wrestling. I'm sure you are. If not, I wish you the best, but I look forward to seeing what your plans are in the future. But another good match. Okay, next up was a Tornado Rule 6-man tag team match. The Bullet Club, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks versus Moose and the tag team War Machine. Bullet Club is one of the hottest things going in independent wrestling, or just wrestling. I mean, WWE is trying to rip it off with, you know, the club, with AJ Styles and Anderson and Gallows. And of course, you know, the Bullet Club, they're huge in Ring of Honor, they're huge in New Japan Pro Wrestling, they're entertaining, and people can say what they about the Young Bucks, you know, that, you know, I don't know, people say a lot of stuff, you can find it online, you know, the whole super kick party, and they don't take wrestling as seriously as they should. I find them damn entertaining. I love their matches. When they have serious matches, they're top quality 4 or 5-star matches, but they're also fun. And I like the super kick parties. It's ridiculous. This match started with both of them, Adam Cole, giving super kicks to the other three men in the ring. It was great. It was a great way to start. And the match was just fun. It was just fun. It was a good competitive match. I haven't seen much of Moose, and there's a lot of talk about him coming to WWE. I don't know how true that is. And War Machine, they're just a big, bruising tag team. Big guys, but they were fun to watch too. But Bullet Club came out on top, and I just remember just having fun watching the match. It was just fun. I love the Bullet Club for life. Alright, the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships was on the line next. It was the champions, The Addiction, Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, 2 men who I loved in TNA, and I just love, period, versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Chris Sabin and I'm gonna forget the other guy's name. Excuse me, sorry. Alex Shelley, formerly of the Time Splitters tag team, which were huge in Japan. But the Motor City Machine Guns, I love the Motor City Machine Guns. One of my favorite tag teams of the past 5 years. They were big in TNA, and I'm so glad that they at least own that name. I'm glad. I figured they'd never be able to use it on the independents. I guess they own it. But they're such a good tag team. I love Chris Sabin, I love Alex Shelley. And so I was excited to see them on the card, that they're making a dent in Ring of Honor. And The Addiction, I love Christopher Daniels, and Kazarian I'm a fan of. This match was good. It didn't quite, if there was any hype, I don't think it really lived up to it, but it was good. It was a solid tag team match. It was very good, but I was expecting a lot more. But that's okay, and the match kind of had a screw job finish, but it made sense, and it was fun. Kamatachi came out and attacked some guy in the front row who's coming to Ring of Honor, but it turns out he's working with The Addiction and helped them win in a way. It's confusing, you just have to watch it. But very good tag team match. I hope there's more between these two, and I hope, they have a feud that turns into something really epic for ROH because both teams can pull it off. But still, very solid contest. Okay, they had a fight without honor, an unsanctioned fight without honor between Steve Corino, who once again is wrestling again, or at least sometimes, versus BJ Witmer. Now, like I said earlier, I haven't been following the Ring of Honor storylines. This is I saw the video package before the match. They have good video packages before all the important matches, and they explain enough. BJ Witmer is kind of this twisted, almost psychotic character, and I kind of dig it. Steve Corino, he's flip-flopped all the time. Him with Kevin Steen and that whole storyline with Scum versus Ring of Honor, that was great stuff, a couple years ago. But then Steve Corino becomes a babyface again, and he's way over with the crowd, and the crowd was really booing BJ Witmer. It was great. But I knew an unsanctioned fight without honor, it was going to be a bloodbath. It was. They're going to have tables, they're going to have chairs, all that stuff. And it's not like the old days of Ring of Honor where an unsanctioned match was really violent with a shitload of chair shots to the head. They don't do that anymore, which is a good thing. But it was still very, very violent. They even brought out like a sock full of quarters and a roll of quarters. Haven't seen that since the 80s. And it was fine. Like, it delivered what it was supposed to deliver. It was a bloodbath. It was violent. I think Corino, he's getting up there in age, and I don't mean to disrespect because of that, but he can still perform his ass off, and he did, but I think he's a little bit limited. But BJ Witmer actually came out on top, and the feud, it looked like this was going to be the end of the feud. It's not, and Kevin Sullivan came and helped BJ Witmer. I don't know the history of that, if there is any history, but Kevin Sullivan is kind of an evil demon of wrestling, and it fit with the storyline, at least it felt that way, and it was kind of cool to see him in a Ring of Honor ring, so we'll see where that goes in the coming weeks or months. But this feud is definitely not over. I don't think. It didn't seem that way. But the match was what you'd expect, almost like a Cactus Jack style match, in Ring of Honor in a way. That's the best I can describe it. But entertaining, and that was the whole point. So. Okay, for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, Bobby Fish, the champion, defending against Dalton Castle. I have never heard of Dalton Castle before. I fucking love his character. He is funny. He's like Tyler Breeze in WWE, except I don't know how else to put this, but more gay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I hope he is an openly gay character. I don't know if he is or not. He's got these two guys with him, I think they're just called the Boys, who fan him. And they're these good-looking, ripped guys, almost like dressed like gladiators, who fan him off with these big fans. And the fans are way over. Literally, the fans are way over with the fans in Ring of Honor. And he comes out and he's got this big dramatic entrance, and it works, and he's got the look, and he's very good in the ring. I very much enjoyed his character, but I was like, is he supposed to be actually gay, or is he just flamboyant? Either way, I'm good. But it's like Tyler Breeze kind of fully realized in a way. Tyler Breeze is just more obsessed with himself. Dalton Castle is just obsessed with himself, and it worked. And I've heard a lot of Bobby Fish. I've never seen him wrestle before, at least not to my knowledge. I didn't even realize he was the television champion. And these two had a great match. Very, very good match for the television title. It's the reason why the television title is so coveted in Ring of Honor. Is because of matches like this. Very, very good. The ending kind of came out of nowhere. Scary spot. Dalton Castle threw Fish into a suplex, and it really seemed like he landed on top of his head. It looked bad. It looked very, very bad. He seemed okay and finished the match, but the match ended rather abruptly after. I think it was supposed to. And it made sense, but afterward the refs kind of had to carry him back and put an ice pack on his neck. So I really hope Bobby Fish is okay, because he impressed me, and I don't want him injured. I want to watch him again. And I love Dalton Castle. Take that as however way you want. I'm sure there'll be people online going, oh, the wrestling fan really likes the gay character. It's like, shut the fuck up. He was very good. His character is very enjoyable, and he stands out. He's different, and that's hard to do in wrestling. But Very, very good match. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And now, what they called the match that was a year in the making, the most anticipated rematch in Ring of Honor history. Jay Lethal, in his now year-long reign, defending his championship against the former champion Jay Briscoe, who he won it from exactly a year ago at Best in the World 2015. And that match was heralded as like one of the best matches of 2015. This was the main reason I got this pay-per-view. The main reason why I got it. I wanted to see that 20 to 30 minute classic where both men just like took a piece of each other's souls and left it in the ring. And I figured Jay Lethal would win, and he did. And Jay Lethal has been killing it the last year. He was Ring of Honor and television champion for quite a while. That's what their match was last year. It was for both the belts. Jay Lethal was the Ring of Honor television champion. Jay Briscoe was the world champion. And had a classic match that I still need to watch. I've heard it's just amazing. And I was expecting that. But you know what happened? I started looking at the time on the pay-per-view. I'm like, it's almost been 3 hours. Like, they have maybe 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, they did this promo with these people who now are called the Cabinet. And it went over with the crowd like a fucking fart in church. Everybody just saw a great television title match where Bobby Fish successfully defended his title against Dalton Castle, like I just talked about. And then they have this stupid promo. Again, I don't follow the storylines of Ring of Honor yet, but it was pointless. And it was like the start of a new stable, but the crowd didn't care, and they were almost booing. Like, they kind of cared at first, but then they didn't. It went on way too long. The announcers were even making fun of how long it was going. Maybe that's a thing they do with these guys. But it wasn't very well written. I didn't enjoy it at all. And it should not have been on before the main event. It should have been nixed. Like, I'm happy with every match on this card, but that should have been nixed. The main event should have gotten more time, because I'm pissed off. The match was barely over 12 minutes. And it was a great match. It was very solid. Everyone seems happy with the match. I'm not. Not every single main event match for the world title has to be a 30-minute classic. No, that would be boring. But for their biggest pay-per-view of the year, for it to only be 12 minutes, was one of these guys injured or something? Like, I don't know, but I was very disappointed. But like I said, the match was fantastic. It was very good. But I wanted more. I wanted at least a 20-minute match. Especially after the match these two had last year, and you built it up as the rematch, the biggest rematch in Ring of Honor history, and then you only let it go 12 minutes? When the one last year almost went 30? What the fuck? I'm sorry, but I may be the only one, but I'm very disappointed by it. And it's probably just because I never get Ring of Honor pay-per-views, so maybe that's why. If I got them all the time, maybe I wouldn't be so pissed. But I am, and it was still great. I'm glad Jay defended the title. Jay Lethal successfully defended the title, and they shook hands afterward, and it seemed like the end of the feud in a way. I look forward to seeing what happens next, but I wanted more, and I'm hoping there's another match soon between him and Jay. I really do. So they can, if this is the end of the feud, they can have a better way to end it. But a good way to end the pay-per-view, but I'm sorry, I was very disappointed. So I'll go ahead and say, I'm very happy I spent my $34.99 on this pay-per-view. It reminded me why I love Ring of Honor so much. The main event did piss me off quite a bit. And I'm still very angry about it, just because I wanted so much more. I never get to see Jay Lethal or Jay Briscoe, and I wanted to see that match, that 4 and 4.5, maybe even 5-star match, like the kind they had last year. That's the main reason I bought the pay-per-view, was to see this rematch and to see that magic, and I didn't get it. It was just a good match. And that's not worth $35 to me. I mean, the pay-per-view as a whole was. And again, I think I'm the only one that feels that way, but I was very disappointed, and I feel a little ripped off. And that's why I'm giving Best in the World 2016 4 out of 5. Now, if the main event was what I think it should have been, if it lived up to that potential, it would have been 4.5 easy. But at the same time, even though every single match on the card was very good, there weren't any standout matches. There weren't any matches that were like, I need to rewatch it again, you know? And every match was just good or very good. And that's good. But at the same time, when every match is good, they all kind of start to look the same. And that's kind of the thing with Ring of Honor. A lot of their matches do look the same when you watch them in succession. With super kicks and brainbusters and, you know, I'm going to get shit on for that. Like, I don't mean I hate it. I love it. I love Ring of Honor and some of the best wrestling in the world and some of the best wrestling in wrestling history. But after a while, even though every match was great or very good, it just started to get kind of repetitive to me in a way. Like, every match seemed similar after a while. After, like, the fourth match, fifth match, you know, and I was waiting for the main event to blow me away. And it didn't. It was very lackluster, in my opinion, even though it was good. So I was originally going to give this 3.5, but after talking about all these matches, it was a 4 out of 5 because there wasn't one weak match on this card, and I do recommend watching it if you haven't. You know, I do. It's well worth your money. Some of the best wrestling around, and I'm glad I saw it. It was worth my money, but I don't know. That main event is still just kind of made me mad. But we'll see what happens next. I hope, you know, the Jays have another match eventually. Hopefully soon. Maybe the next pay-per-view. Or I don't know. But I'll watch it because I want to see these guys, you know, really have the match that I thought we were going to get at Best in the World. So, I mean, it's called Best in the World. Frankly, it didn't exactly live up to that in terms of the main event. But, you know, 4 out of 5, like I said. Go watch it if you haven't, if you can afford it. If not, I guess save your money for the next pay-per-view, and maybe that one will have some standout matches, and everything won't seem so familiar and repetitive. But Ring of Honor is still, you know, one of the best wrestling companies in the world, the second best wrestling company in the U.S. I mean, their wrestling is better than WWE most of the time, but they're pretty small potatoes compared to WWE. WWE is the best. You just have to deal with that. If you can't, they're always going to be the best. They're always going to be the biggest in the world no matter what, even if their wrestling isn't always the greatest. So, that's another rendition of The Wrestling Fans Pay-Per-View Reactions. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I get to see more Ring of Honor pay-per-views in the future so I can talk about them to you guys. Let me know what you thought, or if you want to tell me to go fuck myself, don't really care. Just let me know your thoughts. Until next time, later.